and they happen to adhere or connect to the largest voting demographic in the nation as well. Do you not see this as a problem for Republicans moving forward if they do not figure out how to get the message on this correct?
Well, I think the Republicans, I think you're probably referencing Rick Scott right now. We're talking about his 11-point plan.
Well, not Rick Scott. Matt Waltz said it. You also had Rubio who said it. You had Ted Cruz who said it. And you had Lindsey Graham who said it. So it's not just Rick Scott.
And I will say, I think there's nothing wrong with them saying that. And the reason I say that is this: those may be very popular programs, but it's up for the voters to decide. And for instance, this is why I think sunsetting is important, because every 5 years, let voters have their voice. And the thing is, listen, it may turn out to be poor for Republicans. They may lose all their seats, but they'll learn a lesson. But nonetheless, the most important part about that is the voters are the ones who are making that decision rather than grandfather some kind of program in. And when we talk about Social Security, listen, Social Security was put in place. It was supposed to be temporary relief. That was what FDR put it in place to do. It obviously expanded over the past few decades. Both Republicans and Democrats had their part in it. But I will say it's not just Republicans who have been concerned about the insolvency of this program. I mean, Joe Biden, 1975, 1995, he said we need to stop having these programs that aren't sunsetted. Let's do Social Security every 4 years. Let's vote on it. In the 80s, he said 1 year, freeze all spending, including Social Security and Medicare. So I think that this is a bipartisan problem that could be solved. We can answer these questions.
You know, it is interesting because you're right. Democrats have also promoted building the wall. Democrats have promoted the idea of illegal aliens rather than undocumented workers. But the bottom line is something you just said. It's all about the voters. And you're not talking about the voters in 1975. You're talking about the voters in 2023. And if it is about the voters in 2023, it must be about the policies presented in 2023 and not the policy presented in 1975. So I would submit to you that when the infighting is over, at some point, Brianna, we're going to start paying attention to real policies again. Would you not agree?
I do agree, yes.
All right. It's a pleasure having you on the show. We don't have ample time like I wanted, but we're going to invite you back, okay? We'll appreciate you.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, remember, take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.
Universal health care, raising the minimum wage. If you want clean water, clean air, clean food, keep going. If you are doing the deed, I want you to stand up to your feet right now. We have courage enough, conviction enough, people power enough to stand up and do what is right for ourselves. I am unbought and unbought.
Hello, welcome to Unbossed. We are so glad you are here. And I am glad to have in the co-chair seat on this fine day, Yasmin Khan. Yasmin, how you doing today? And can you tell us, is there anything going on the breakdown?
Oh yeah, there's a lot going on the breakdown. Happy to be here on this Monday. We're talking about Jesse Waters over at Fox News. He's mad about the Durham probe, which isn't going quite too well. The Durham probe is actually kind of funny. If you remember, it was when Bill Barr appointed an investigator to investigate the investigators of the Mueller investigation, which is a mouthful, talked about the Koch network and how they're insinuating that they're not going to be supporting Trump in 2024. And we talked about rent control. There's a lot going on over there.
Yeah, well, listen, you guys, after Unboss, I mean, you definitely want to make sure that you follow Yasmin and the rest of the Breakdown team over there. And thank you for that. And today, Yasmin and I will be talking about the Super Bowl. Now, I know a lot of folks were watching that Super Bowl last night, including yours truly. We got the good, we got the bad, and we have the ugly. We're going to do some historic highlights and then talk about a little reality that we need to marry to that Super Bowl. And then later in the show, we've got a double header neoliberal segment for you. You do not want to miss this. And finally, we've got the latest on the Ohio train derailment situation. But first, all things Super Bowl. Take a look at this. What you just watched was the Kansas City Chiefs fans going wild, baby, because their team won last night. They won Super Bowl 57 by the score of 38-35. It was a nail biter indeed. And I know there can only be one number one. I mean, that's what these competitions are all about. But I'm gonna tell you something, both of those teams, they absolutely did that. That's why that score was so close. They are certainly the best of the best in terms of players, the best of the best in terms of quarterbacks. They did that thing. But also we discussed recently, all last week as we were building up to the Super Bowl about the Black history of this particular Super Bowl. Let's take a look again at what CEO Mark Mariel put up in a tweet of the Urban League. He leads the Urban League. History made. Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts will be the first Black starting quarterbacks to be featured at the Super Bowl. And baby, they did that last night. And then because of them, Autumn Lockwood has made history as the first Black woman to coach in the Super Bowl. She did that as well. And then we got from HBCU Premier Sports, in observance of Black History Month, we remember the trailblazers and icons that paved the way. We can't never forget those who paved the way. As Jalen Hurts' agent, Nicole Lynn, already made history as the first Black woman to represent a quarterback in the Super Bowl. Hello, somebody. And with his second Super Bowl win, Patrick Mahomes becomes the first Black quarterback to win multiple Super Bowls. You heard that right, baby. Yes, he did. And this Super Bowl was a big win for Black history on all types of levels. Black history was made at this Super Bowl. Yasmin, your thoughts about what happened last night?
Yeah, so I did watch the game. Well, I watched the first half of the game and I kind of checked out a little bit after halftime, but I saw from the very beginning, it was a very tight game. It was pretty exciting even for someone like me who just watches it very passively. But it's great to see representation in spaces like this. And it's great to see people who have been historically unwelcome, or maybe let's say unexpected in these spaces, to thrive within them. And to the people who are maybe tired of hearing stories about representation, the people who don't care about the first whoever to do whatever, the people who want to diminish those impacts of those firsts, I'll just say that tiredness is probably a little bit fear-driven, right? Not wanting to celebrate someone else's accomplishments, even though it doesn't take anything from you, is just being a hater. And haters are either jealous or they're insecure because they believe that someone else doing big things means that they won't be able to. It doesn't have to be as some game. We can all do big things. It's fine.
Yeah, I agree with you. Haters gonna hate. I think it's a little bit of both fear and jealousy. But you're right. It doesn't take away from anything anybody else is doing. But it does make an important point, I think, Yasmin, that most of us have to deal with, is that when we say first, that means it's the first. So why did it take so long to have a first? Super Bowl 57, and we're laying out these first. And before the game, though, actress and singer Cheryl Lee Rouse sang, who I absolutely love her. She sang the Black national anthem. Lift every voice and sing. Take a look at this.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmony
Oh yeah, in all her glory. I mean, she just looked magnificent. She sung that song magnificently. I was sitting back here while y'all were watching her, singing it along with her. But of course, unfortunately, going back to something that Yasmin and I were talking about, it shouldn't trigger folks. Some folks were triggered. Some anti-Black members of the GOP were absolutely triggered by this. And here are a couple of reactions from the white supremacist chick who had the gall to speak on Cheryl's amazing rendition. Let's go ahead and put this up. America only has one national anthem. Why is the NFL trying to divide us by playing multiple? Do football, not wokeness. Now I'm gonna pause right here for a special announcement. When people like her, and it don't matter what their political affiliation is, but right now these Republicans acting a fool. But when people like her, a representative, talks about we don't need wokeness, whether it's her, whether it's DeSanctimonious, don't matter who it is, any of these fools. And it don't matter to me whether they Republican or Democrat, but let me just rest on these Republicans right now. They talking against Black people. America, you understand this? And they are really the reincarnation of the type of white supremacist, anti-Black leadership in this country. White folks in leadership that trampled upon the rights and the beauty and the goals and the dreams and the hopes of Black people in this country. Why does that hurt her so much? Why? It ain't taking nothing from her, but the chick just had to weigh in. So we're gonna weigh in on her. Let's take a look at this other chick, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Chris Stapleton just sang the most beautiful national anthem at the Super Bowl, but we could have gone without the rest of the wokeness. You know what? I got some choice words for both of these chicks. I mean, both of them. You know what? Chris did sing. He sung that song too. We sung both national anthems. Hello, somebody. Okay, hello. If they understood Black history, why they sitting up there trying to do away with Black history and Black books and just try to erase the history of Black folks in this country, they would understand why the Black national anthem means a lot, and it should mean a lot to everybody. Is something wrong with these folks, America? Now, we gonna let these type of leaders run things? Or are we gonna get some folks in there that understand that there are stories to be told in this country and to be understood in this country, and that everything wasn't coming up roses for everybody? Hello? They jealous behinds. Put this one up too. This genius right here. This special person right here. The NFL played 2 different national anthems tonight. Someone just sent me a photo of Carly Lake sitting during the first one. Yeah, because you know what her sitting down represented? She didn't give a, and go ahead and fill in the blank. This is a family show. But I speak that language very, very well. That's my second language, you know? I am bilingual in that way. I just can't rattle it all off right here, but that just shows the disrespect. She just said F the Black national anthem. You are supposed to stand for national anthems just in case. That chick didn't understand that. But my stunt double had something to say about this, as she always does about this time. She said, dear conservative Christians who are outraged that lift every voice. And do you see the Black anthem? You see how Black folks do? We said lift every voice. Hello? Well, that was lost on them fools, but let me go ahead. Dear conservative Christians who are outraged that lift every voice and sing was performed at last night's Super Bowl, you are aware it's a Christian hymn, right? Your outrage is racist in nature, plain and simple. See, sisters and brothers and family and friends, we just gotta call this stuff like it is. We gotta stop playing with these people. And again, y'all know me. It doesn't matter to me whether we calling out what racist on the Democratic side or racist on the Republican side. Baby, if you are a racist and you're anti-Black, you just those things. And we're gonna just lay it down here. America, we got a problem. But it wasn't just the singing of the Black national anthem that angered white supremacists scattered throughout the GOP. Let's put up this headline right here. Epic fail. Donald Trump bashes Rihanna for single worst halftime show in Super Bowl history. How dare he, and who is he to judge, okay? These fools could really learn a thing or two from Cheryl Ralph, who said this following her performance of Lift Every Voice and Sing. Take a look.
You all, just be clear, I am here at the Super Bowl and I'm feeling so good. Thank you for all of your amazing tweets and comments about my rendition of Lift Every Voice and Sing. It is 123 years old today, that song. And I thank everybody for joining in at a time when we all need to come together. That song was written for first and second generation free Black Americans who were at that time told by the country that they didn't matter. But this song was written by an educator for them to understand you are important, you matter. So lift every voice and sing.
Yeah, amen to that. Yasmin, your reactions to these GOP crazies.
Yeah. Well, I first want to give props to Cheryl for that Fenty beanie. That was pretty dope. But yeah, first of all, it is telling that Lauren Boebert felt division here instead of unity. It says a lot about her. And this is just people creating problems and controversies where there really isn't one, right? I hardly ever get on Twitter, but I did last night, and that might have been a mistake. But I was genuinely confused as to why people like Lauren Boebert and MTG were offended this time. And sometimes, it can take a little bit of effort to get into their headspace and to try to understand their way of thinking and to grasp whatever point it is that they're trying to make. But I thought both performances that preceded the national anthem were beautiful, and I'm referring also to Babyface's performance. I certainly didn't feel that they took anything away from the game or from the national anthem itself. And to find something negative in either of those performances, especially in Cheryl's performance, I think you really have to try hard, or you have to be kind of a hateful person in the first place. But I do want to give a quick shout out to Miss Patterson, because hearing Lift Every Voice last night filled me with a lot of joy. It took me right back to Miss Patterson's music class in elementary school when we all sang that song. And that sort of thing really stays with you, right? Music is supposed to move you and transform you, and it's supposed to mean different things to different people. You cannot police or minimize that impact, no matter how hard people like Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene try.
Yeah, that is so true. Music is a universal language. And I mean, Yasmin, you're making the most profound point of all. This should have brought people together and made people feel good. You just have to be a kind of a really sad individual. I almost feel sorry for these people because they are living some miserable lives to try to find something negative about the singing of the Black national anthem. They miserable, y'all. Don't let them take you with you. There's a quote out there, misery loves company. We not going with them, okay? Let's just decide we ain't going down that misery road with them fools. That's exactly what they are. And we can ensure, because the Super Bowl, so there was a lot of good things happening there. There's some things that we gotta be cognizant of and we gotta correct in this country, even because football is a microcosm. This sport is a microcosm of the real America, and we see that playing out time and time again. So even though the game marked an important victory for Black athletes and Black women in sports, it can't be lost on us that the NFL can do so much more than what it's doing right now to ensure Black leadership is all around the league in every single nook and cranny of the league, and not just on the field. So a reminder, I want you to check out this graphic with us. We put this up last week as well. The race of the players, 70% are Black, 24%, almost 25% are white, 5% are other. And then if we look at the coaching hire since 1989, 12.2% are Black, 81%, a little bit of 81%. A little over 81%, I should say, are white, and a little over 6% represent other races or ethnicities. And when you factor in the fact that 95%, and you heard me right, 95% of the NFL owners are white, with just 2 minority owners, the NFL needs to do a better job to advance leadership. This should be a part of what it does. It should take analysis. And the NFL shouldn't be happy with these stats. Nobody should. And not just on the surface level, it's more than about interviewing coaches and painting in racism in the end zone. Okay, symbols without substance, baby. Symbols are fine, but they gotta have some substance. If symbols have no substance, they mean absolutely nothing. You can bold it, you can underline it, underscore, exclamation point, put it in a message in a bottle, and you know where we're gonna ride it. We're gonna ride it on the train. And the league, especially after the Black history made during this Super Bowl, has the opportunity to make up for past wrongs and ensure that leadership of these teams represent the overwhelmingly majority of Black players who play for them. I mean, if they wanted us to reverse this thing, since 70% of the players are Black, y'all know where I'm going with this. So they got a long, long way to go. And those of us who believe that we must do better in this country in every single sector, you can't be mad at that. As Yasmin said earlier, haters gonna hate. But people who want to make a difference, they're gonna appreciate. All right, so let's get some appreciation going on here. We're not playing with them fools over there, but it was a heck of a Super Bowl. Now, speaking of the Super Bowl, we got to go and talk about the cheerleaders, okay? We're gonna talk about some wage, like a gap in wages for those cheerleaders. Everybody needs some good cheerleaders in their life. And they're not treating the cheerleaders properly, y'all. Take a look at this.
NFL teams are worth billions, but I'd bet you never guess how much they pay their cheerleaders. NFL cheerleaders go through a lot just to earn a spot on the team. There's a written test, personal interview, multiple auditions, and even a 10-week training camp. But despite how hard it could be to make an NFL cheerleading squad, they only make around $150 a game and $60 for each public appearance. When you add up the time they spent for practice and training sessions, some cheerleaders only get paid $5 an hour. In fact, the most famous cheerleading squad in the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys, only pay their cheerleaders $400 a game, and it's nowhere close to how much they pay their water boys.
Ain't that some sugar? The water boys get paid more than the cheerleaders. Now, even in real life, we need cheerleaders. Everybody needs some cheerleaders. This right here is a shame of epic proportions. And we're just gonna put this out there. I mean, really, since we talking about the Super Bowl, let's just go and lift up these cheerleaders. You can't make this stuff up. Furthermore, former Oakland Raiders cheerleader, Lacey Fields, filed the first class action lawsuit against the NFL regarding cheerleaders' compensation, alleging wage theft and gender discrimination. And she daggone right about that. At the end of the 2013-2014 season, she was paid a lump sum of $1,250 for compensation. An NFL mascot could earn up to $65,000 a year. This is coming from the Guardian magazine. We can't make this stuff up. But it's not just wage theft and gender pay gap that cheerleaders have to endure. Take a look at this. According to leaked rule documents obtained by the New York Times, as well as cheerleader testimony, some teams' rules have included a prohibition on sweatpants in public, a requirement to stay within 3 pounds of one's ideal weight. Ain't this some sugar? Ain't this some stuff? This is some archaic. Back in the, not even the cavemen did this. So I ain't even gonna compare this to cavemen, but they gotta stay within 3 pounds of their ideal weight. And then who in the hell gets to pick what their ideal weight is? This is some white male, cause this who made these rules. This is some bull. Y'all almost let me let it out. I almost did it, but Yasmin, I ain't gonna do it. This is some mess. That they have a mandate to be within 3 pounds of their ideal weight. Who gets to decide what their ideal weight is? And a mandate to leave a restaurant if a player or executive happens to enter. What in the unholy hell? What is this? What the hell? Is this America? Ain't that some nerve? Because we always thumbing down our nose at other countries. But look at this sugar right here. Yasmin, go ahead and take it, baby. I'm totally outraged.
Yeah, critics to stories like this one will say that no one is making them be cheerleaders, right? They can just go get another job, which is absolutely correct. No one is making them be cheerleaders, but that's what they do. That's their job. That's what they love doing. And people really love having them there, right? It's like you said, we all need cheerleaders in our life, in sports, wherever. But that doesn't negate the fact that this is in fact a job, and the people filling those positions work incredibly hard to perform at an incredibly high level for our entertainment, right? Any job, regardless of what it is, should pay reasonably well, but more importantly, workers in any field deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. It's not enough to make excuses for the culture of any one specific workplace, in this case, the NFL, and say, just go somewhere else if the culture isn't for you. It doesn't have to be that way, and we should always be striving to improve conditions like this instead of making excuses for it.
That is so true, Yasmin. And the converse to nobody's making them do it, they can go and get another job. But let's just go and flip that on his head. They could just pay them some good wages and that solves the problem right there. But there will be some boneheaded person that will say they can go and get another job instead of being sympathetic and being on the side of the cheerleaders and saying that this is a bunch of BS. And then they got to leave a restaurant when these dudes walk in the room as if they somebody better than them. They not. They might have a little more money, but that's it. They put on their pants every day. just like everybody else. What in the unholy hell? They got to lead a room as if God is walking the face of the earth or some shit like that. I couldn't take it no daggone more. And the solutions, if any, have not been helpful. With NFL cheerleading scandals and lawsuits breaking somewhat regularly for nearly a decade, many teams are considering what the future of their traditional all-women sideline cheer squad should be. Some have changed their squad's name, switched up their uniforms, or added men to their teams. Some have gotten rid of their cheer squads altogether. Okay, if that's what y'all want to do, then do that. But don't sit up here and mess with these women's money and act like they're not a necessary ingredient. They are. Those team cheerleaders are good because when you're down and out, the cheerleader on the sideline on your team, they gonna cheer for you like you all that and 2 bags of barbecue Lay's potato chips. When you down and out, they cheering. And in real life, those of us, just human beings, we need somebody that's cheering for us when we down and out. Don't act like what they doing doesn't matter. These mofos making all that money. I can't, y'all. America, we got a problem. See, from the NFL, whatever, all of these things are a microcosm of what is happening in real, regular, everyday life. The wage gap for women is real. Sexism is real. All these isms are real. Now, America, we got an opportunity to do something about this stuff. And y'all need to be on the side of the cheerleaders. I'm gonna cool off because I got to bring my fire extinguisher out, but I ain't gonna bring her out. I'm gonna settle down without her. We'll be back after this.
Welcome to the Damage Report. I'm John Idarola. This is gonna be a big one.
Meanwhile, in the Arctic, you know where this is going. You watch the Damage Report, the Arctic's on fire. Obviously, why would we be talking about the Arctic except to tell you that it's melting once again? The Republicans aren't that interested in it. I wonder why. Lift out of poverty up to 3.7 million people, including an estimated 1.3 million children. Hashtag save the children? Not if it costs money. I mean, come on.
What's happening? I'm Dr. Rashad Richey, host of Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Richey. Here's the bottom line. I play no games about policy, period. Too many people's lives are at stake. So here's what I do. I challenge conservative ideology that hinders the growth of this country. I make sure we place our facts in proper context, and I have no problem debating anyone on a position that I have. Progressives have the ideas to change the world, but when you really look at it, progressives have always change this world for the better. I want you to tune into my new show, Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Richey, right here on the TYT network, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. I'll see you there.
Everything that we've accomplished over the years is because of our members who've allowed us to remain independent of corporate interests and reach 20 million followers. Now is the time to bring as many people into the progressive movement as possible. We're inviting you to be the change and help bring a community-powered progressive change machine to life. Details are at tyt.com/change. If you're a member, thank you. We need you to remain so. If you're one of the thousands of viewers out there who's not a member yet, the time has come for you to join now. We need you more than ever. tyt.com/change.
Welcome back to the show. We're so glad you're with us. Now the watch list airs right after Unbossed, so you do not want to miss the one and only J.R. Jackson. Stay tuned. Will you do that? And then the 21st anniversary tomorrow, we celebrate 21 years of driving positive change on TYT. We're gonna have a special show. I want you to join Jink, Anna, John, JR, and yours truly, TNT, Dr. Rashad Richey, Michael Schur, David Kohler. That starts at 8 o'clock p.m. ET. and 5 p.m. PT on TYT.com live or on YouTube. Look at all them beautiful faces. Also, we've got a poll for you on TYT.com/polls asking what your favorite TYT moment of all time is. We're going to randomly select 10 people who participate in the poll to win a copy of Jink's upcoming book, Justice is Coming, set to release on September 19th. Cheers to being 21. TYT, you look good for 21. Yes, you do. All right, on to viewer comments. Vicky, you got my vote, Nina. Thank you, Vicky, baby. And it's so good. So glad you're getting a chance to view in live time right now. That's one of our TYT members. And on Twitch, Dengar Dragon, Black Pearl Dragon, ready to breathe some fire. You better know that, DD. Yes, I am at all times ready. An agnostic sister, another banging pair of glasses, Ms. Nina Turner. Thank you, agnostic sister. I appreciate you, baby. And on YouTube, super chat, Thomas, love the senator. She is spot on. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, agnostic sister. Thank you, Dengar Dragon. I'm gonna call you DD. And thank you, Vicky. And many thanks to each and every one of you for supporting our show and supporting the TYT network. Baby, we turned 21. We are looking good. So a chemical train. So Yasmin and I about to, I was feeling warm and fuzzy. Now I'm back to the business. A chemical train derailments over thousands of delayed flights. Pete Buttigieg thinks this is exciting, which has me saying, WTF, neoliberal.
We will now kneel.
Miss Cinema, no.
You have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Partnership that we are building up, but it couldn't be a more exciting time for transportation. It's had its challenges.
Right.
I mean, if you look at what the American transportation systems have faced in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. So what you just watched was Pete Buttigieg this morning. Yes, this morning, Monday, February the 13th, being excited about transportation. Meanwhile, in East Palestine, Ohio, people are being exposed to chemicals after a nasty train derailment. No, instead he's joking about balloons. Take a look.
It's had its challenges.
Right.
I mean, if you look at what the American transportation systems have faced in the last 2 or 3 years, partly because of the pandemic, we've faced issues from container shipping to airline cancellations. Mm-hmm. Now we got balloons.
That's right.
I don't even know what y'all want me to do with this. He's the Secretary of Transportation. People are catching hell. It's the federal government. And they're making excuses. As you've heard me say time and time on this show, and I will continue to say this, I got more expectations of my 2 toddlers than we do for grown A people like this in high positions, making light of the things that people are enduring in this country. He had an opportunity to fix these derailments. Yeah, he did. And so did the administration before that. And the administration before that, in all fairness, let me just put that out there too. But Pete Buttigieg's department has not moved to reinstate an Obama-era rail safety rule aimed at expanding the use of better braking technology, even though a former federal safety official recently warned Congress, might as well have been talking to a wall, warned Congress that without the better brakes, there will be more derailments and more releases of hazardous materials. Do you think the expert that warned them had a crystal ball? Or do you think that this expert understands what will happen next if the federal government doesn't set the rules? How about that? Because you ain't got to be an astrophysicist to understand that if you allow laissez-faire to run amok in any industry, this is what you get. But this dude right here, the Secretary of Transportation, he can afford to be cool, calm, and collected because it's not him or his family being impacted. It's not him or his kids being impacted. It's other folks' kids. It's Big Mama and Big Papa's kids in hoods where they misunderstood. In the rural hoods, the urban hoods, suburban hoods. It wasn't him stranded at the airport because he flies private. Hello, America? Do y'all see what's happening here? So instead, transportation regulations have been considering. Now, regulators have been considering. I just want you to wrap your mind all the way around this. I'm about to dress this up for you. Instead, transportation regulators have been considering a rail industry-backed proposal that could weaken existing rules. As if the rules are not weak enough. These folks want to put even more people in danger. And on top of that, sided with the rail barons over the rail workers when it comes to giving the people sick time. America, I'm talking to you. Are we gonna continue to be complicit in our own demise? So much like Southwest, the systems for trains breaking are outdated. Relying on Civil War era braking systems, okay? So we talking about going back into the 1800s, just in case folks don't remember when the Civil War happened. Let Sister Turner break it down for you. It's something wrong. The Department of Transportation most recent regulatory agenda, which lists all planned, proposed, and final rules, does not include, let me say it one more good time, does not include an ECP break rule. Pete would surely support this, wouldn't he? I mean, wouldn't the Secretary of Transportation support this? You would think that the Secretary of Transportation would support this, but look what my stunt double had to say, because she always weighing in. This is what she had to say. Buttigieg, it's been nearly a week since a Norfolk Southern train derailed in East Palestine, Ohio, sending hazardous fumes into the air, and there hasn't been so much as a statement put out by Secretary Pete, the regulator of the railroads. That's unacceptable. It is completely unacceptable. Yasmin, I really, please help me understand what is happening here, because maybe you can help me out.
Yeah, like just fix the brakes, even from a financial aspect. These accidents must be so much more expensive than brakes, right? And charisma will only get you so far. And I think that we're seeing the extent of how far Pete Buttigieg's charisma is going to get him. Mayor Pete is showing how truly small town he is with all of this, right? His tenure in our federal government has been nothing short of disappointing, and he's drifted way too far out of his comfort zone here. Pete Buttigieg can continue challenging himself. I think that's a good thing to do, but just like, take a pottery class or something. Don't fill a position and try your hand at something that's going to impact millions of people in one way or another, right? It's incredibly irresponsible that someone like him is in a position like this one, and he doesn't step aside at some point and say, I'm out of my depth, I need help, or else more and more people will suffer, more money will be wasted, more lives will be disrupted. He wanted that job, and the immense responsibility that came with it, he practically lobbied for a cabinet position back when he was doing his presidential run, and he's just not living up to it. And to that end, federal leadership, specifically the president that appointed Buttigieg to his position, should take some responsibility for all of this.
Ooh, when Yasmin cuts you, baby. When she throws shade at you, it's so smooth. It's smooth as silk. I want to be that smooth when I grow up. People know when I'm coming. But yeah, she threw that shade out there. She said the brother needs to just go and take a pottery class. He needs to realize that he is out of his depth. Baby, when you have been cut by Yasmin, you've been cut. You know what I mean? She said that so smoothly. When I grow up, he is out of his depth. I agree. And the president of the United States certainly has to take responsibility for this appointment. This is just not the job for you, Pete Buttigieg, and it's okay. It's all right. You can find another one. But for the love of God, stop putting people in harm's way in service to your own donors as you plan to run for president of the United States of America again at some point. Let's just put that out there too. Yasmin, cut them smooth. I'm just gonna go straight for the juggler on this one. Now we got another WTF neoliberal we must bring to your attention. This is our double header WTF neoliberal. Let's see what Leader Pelosi or Representative Pelosi has been up to lately. Let's take a look at this headline. Nancy Pelosi pushes for former Rep. Sean Patrick Maloney to be the next labor secretary. That's right, Pelosi has been making calls on behalf of Rep. Maloney Maloney was a close Pelosi ally during his 5 terms in Congress and chaired House Democrats' campaign arm in the 2022 election cycle. He lost his own seat, however, to GOP Rep. Mike Lawler. During Maloney's tenure at the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, the organization unionized for the first time. No, you know, that's good. And let us remind you, this is the man who is responsible for losing 4 decisive seats in the House. This is where we at on this. Yasmin, any thoughts about the Congresswoman pushing for this dude?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see Nancy Pelosi still taking such an active role in the government, even though she's taking a less active role in her actual position in the House or in the Senate. But I mean, we'll have to see how this plays out. This person, let me see, Labor Secretary Marty Walsh is expected to step down, and sometimes people thrive better in different roles. Sometimes I think that we have to be open to that possibility that he can do better in this role, right? Maybe look at what happened with the seats that were lost and examine why that happened, how it can be prevented in the future, and then go forward from there. I think there's room to explore. I don't want to discount someone outright based on, I feel like I don't have enough information here.
Yeah, I mean, you do bring up a good point. Maybe he might thrive better.
Maybe, yeah.
There, maybe. I seriously doubt it, but you make a very, very, like a universally stated, a very, very good point. We will keep our eye on this. Other progressives are pushing for somebody else, but we'll see what happens here. So last week we told you about the train, planes, and automobile, but about a train carrying chemicals that derailed in a small town in East Palestine, Ohio. The situation has gotten much worse. This was the controlled release from last week. I mean, it doesn't even look like you're in East Palestine, Ohio. The people who lived there, their lives were totally turned upside down. The controlled release released chemicals into the air to prevent a catastrophic explosion. I mean, look at that. Can you imagine being anywhere near that and the lack of air quality that you now have, and not totally knowing what you're seeing and what kind of chemicals are going up in the air? I mean, you're going about your business thinking it's gonna be a regular day, only to be disrupted, and I mean totally disrupted, by a train derailment. The company that owns the train is Norfolk Southern, and it claims that it's not a public health risk. Don't trust them. Don't believe them at all. We know that this is a public health risk. They were too quick to say that it wasn't. There is no way in heaven or hell that this could not be a public health risk. Yeah, believe your lying eyes. When you see all of that stuff going up in flames, believe it. It is a public health risk. And same with Governor Mike DeWine here in my home state, which we expressed in this tweet. This is what he said: East Palestine residents are able to return to their homes. Really, Governor? Really? You should be going ham on Norfolk Southern on behalf of your constituents. That's what you should be doing. But you telling them, oh, just skip to your loo. Skip to my loo, my darling. Just gonna skip on back home. Everything's all right, nothing to see here. Not right. But many don't want to go back because of the chemicals in the air. Could anybody not? Could you? Everybody understands why they don't want to go back home. Let's take a look at this tweet. There have been numerous reports of dead animals all over Ohio. The Norfolk Southern train derailment is a major ecological disaster, and people need to be criminally charged with this kind of gross negligence, or it's doomed to repeat itself. Hello, somebody on that 50 Shades of We got that right. And that's why the governor should be outraged. He should be in conversations with the president and that person who's the Secretary of Transportation, saying, hello, somebody, get down here right away and get my people some help. This is a shame. Now, many lacking viable alternatives due to their limited resources and incomes have done just that, right? They had to go home. Despite lingering fears of the impact that the train crash and subsequent unleashing of toxic gases into the atmosphere may have had on their towns, some have reported strong chemical odors and unsettling sights, such as a steam blackened by substances released from the train and dead fish. Thank you, Jack Johnson of Common Dreams. This is an issue of classism. Plain and simple. What would the response be if this was a wealthy town? It wouldn't be this cavalier attitude. If there were toxic chemicals being released in a wealthy suburban area, there would be outrage. Well, guess what? I'm outraged for the people of East Palestine. I'm outraged for them. We're outraged here on Unbossed. And there's some other folks that are outraged for them as well. The silence is inexcusable. One resident stated the following: I don't want to take my kids back to that. None of us have the money to completely start over somewhere. We're not going to have a choice but to take our children back to that place, and it's not fair. And Yasmin, she is exactly right. This is not fair.
Yeah, this story hits so close to home for me, and I feel like I know the helplessness that I'm sure the people in Ohio are feeling. It's the helplessness of knowing that chemicals are leaking and burning all around you, and there's nothing that you can do about it. And you know that they're not going to do anything about it either. So many of these disasters happen, and all we hear from our leaders is, it's fine, you're fine, just live your lives, it's all fine. But the reality is that it's not. It's not okay to have a plume of black smoke over your city. It's not normal. It's not okay, no matter how much they try to normalize the smell of gas and carcinogens in the air, no matter how much they tell you that the water is supposed to have like an oily sheen over the top of it, or no matter how much they tell you that it's okay to eat crops that were grown in fields near leaking pipelines. I live in Houston, and there is a lot of oil and gas activity here. And every time something wonky happens, you hear a lot of finger pointing from the city and county officials, but ultimately nothing is done to prevent those accidents from happening again in the future.
Yeah, it's not okay at all. Just total indifference to other people's suffering. And this last tweet we want to put up here: Norfolk Southern has offered a mere $25,000 donation to help affected residents. Morgan Harper had this to say in her tweet: Norfolk Southern has made a $25,000 donation after their toxic train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. They're worth $55 billion. They want this to go away, and we cannot let them get away with it. Amen to that. We cannot let them get away with this. America, I want you to be outraged about this. Ohioans first, we need to be outraged about this and come to the rescue of our sisters and brothers and family and friends in East Palestine, Ohio. Take a look at this.
I'd like to say thank you, world, for sticking in there with me. The fight is not over. I've been informed this morning by a fellow service member that the police were called on us 5 times this past weekend for doing work on our land, for farming while black. That's not a crime. Elijah McClain would still be alive to this day if it wasn't for somebody calling and saying that a black man is walking down the street. That's not a crime. None of that is a crime. Farming while on your own land is not a crime. The people that were out here this past weekend didn't deserve to be tormented and harassed by Gerhardt's goons. I guess I'm finna be facing charges. New charges are finna be coming down the pipeline on me for being on my own land. World, I'm asking that y'all come out in full force on 2/17/23 to the Denver Capitol. And we state our claim that the Karen Act be passed and put into law that make it a crime, a hate crime, to weaponize the police against people of color.
Farming while black. That was Courtney Mallory, a black farmer in El Paso County, had to deal with countless incidences happening around him, to him and his family, very anti-black in nature, no doubt about it, racism and intimidation. And that's what he was talking about. And you just watched him explaining how since he has started farming, he has been facing harassment and racism simply because he is Black. Farming while Black. How in the hell are you gonna call the police on somebody farming their own land? Well, part of the reason is because where he is a mostly white area. And they look up and they see this Black man and wondering, well, how in the hell is he allowed to be here? This is the 21st century, folks. We ain't talking about the 20th century, the 19th century, the 18th century. We're talking about the 21st century. We have a problem. And he expressed multiple incidences of harassment and racism coming at the hands of his so-called neighbors. We not even gonna call them people neighbors. They're people that live in and around them because they not neighbors. This ain't neighborly. This is some sick stuff. Now, after all these incidences, he himself has been arrested. Now, how in the hell does that happen that he gets arrested? Take a look at this.
Please make the call. Gerhardt's goons are at it again. Gerhardt's goons are at it again. Farming while Black in America. There's Deputy Hancock there with El Paso County Sheriff's Department. That's the vehicle 8306. He has not provided any information as to whether there's anyone else in the vehicle at this time. State Patrol appears to be.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. We're still live here, world.
Do you want to talk real quick?
Yeah. We're still live. Flood the lines of the Sheriff's Department. Gerhardt and his goons must be fired. He needs a lie detector test.
Drop the trailer and come on down here.
Let your followers know how you doing right now.
I'm not well, but
okay.
This is part of it.
Mm-hmm.
This is part of the hate crimes and the false accusations that Officer Gerhardt makes.
That's right.
And just so happened one of his goons are here, Hancock.
Hancock is one of his goons?
He's part,
okay.
He's part of the plot.
But Cantrell is going to take care of you, correct? You'll be in your care the entire time.
I'll be the only one.
Only one. Yeah. You hear that, America? Courtney Wayne Mallory better come out of this unharmed. It's Black History Month and we still working.
Yeah, Mr. Mallory, I'm telling you, I'm madder than a mofo. And this is very reminiscent of what Black people had to endure throughout their history in this country. But you know what the problem is right here, right now? This is the 21st damn century. They basically dragging this man, humiliating this man, trying to bring this Black man down. That's what they doing. And when Black people talk about microaggressions and all the stress and the hell we catch just for being Black in America, plain and simple, the people who live around him don't want him there and believe that he has gotten a little too uppity. Because how could a Black man afford to have land? How could he? He doesn't belong there. And that's why they're harassing him and they are using law enforcement as a weapon against him where he pays his taxes. This ain't the first time and unfortunately it will not be the last time. So America, hello somebody. Yasmin, I'm pissed.
Yeah, this is so ridiculous. And it really is just a blatant example of racism. It's very hard to deny the racism that's happening here. The fact that they burnt his Black Lives Matter flag can't possibly be interpreted as anything but racist. It's incredibly sad when people aren't able to reach their full potential to live meaningful and peaceful lives just because other hateful people do not want them to. Right, and I'll never understand why people create problems where there are none. And I'll never understand why people who clearly have some kind of emotional issues, let's say, insist on making those personal issues someone else's problems. It's like, just deal with your own problems, deal with yourself and mind your own business. And that's basically what Karenism is. It's people who have their own issues and instead of dealing with them, they do things like this to people like this man. This man should never have had to bear the brunt of his so-called neighbors' inadequacies, and he certainly shouldn't have to deal with the law in this way.
And they need to pass the Karen Act because anybody that weaponizes the police, they need to be held
already
accountable.
Illegal, yeah.
I mean, yes, see, and people don't understand the stressors. This man is in the back seat of a police car for doing absolutely nothing but farming while Black. You see, it's not just that moment. That's what, see, a lot of folks who not Black, who never endured this kind of trauma and drama, you don't get it. It weighs on you over and over and over and over again. This man is being traumatized just because he is black, farming while black, just because those names. And let me tell you something, this ain't just racism. This is anti-black racism. Let's put an exclamation point on it. Let's put a message in a bottle on a train, for real. Because this is anti-blackness playing out in real time in America. Look, we ain't even got to go back in time. This is happening right now. And for folks who believe in true justice and liberty, you have got to say that this shit right here is unacceptable. So Courtney Mallory, 41, now faces a felony charge. Do y'all hear that? A freaking felony charge of stalking neighbor, stalking these mofos. He has been accused of carrying out a bias-based terror campaign on his property in Yoder, about 30 miles east of Colorado Springs. Ain't that some shit? Now they done switched it around on him. Now I done told y'all, family, on Unbossed, we don't play games. This is a sad commentary on America. And we all should be ashamed and hurt by what this man and his family are going through. And you heard what that sister said who was carrying the camp, but not nothing happened to him. Not one hair on his head be touched. And it's a shame that we even got to say that in the 21st century. If you are a decent human being, you got to know and understand that what this man is going through is wrong all day long, 365 days of the year, and y'all should be outraged. Why the hell do black people always got to carry this anti-blackness and white supremacy on our backs and our necks and our chests and our hearts, our souls and our minds? You want to talk about pull yourself up by your bootstraps? This man and his family purchased that land. And now these mofos trying to harass him out of it. You know what? It's very reminiscent of what the KKK used to do. They riding up and down and all around this man's property. Let's put up this headline. How did African-American farmers lose 90% of their land? You know how they lost 90% of their land? Because of white supremacy terrorism. That's how they lost it. And the federal government and state governments being complicit. A combination of obscure legal mechanisms and racist institutions enabled and continues to enable developers to weasel it away. And there were points at time in this history where white folks just flat out took black people's land. Just took it. And we thought we were over that. Well, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Let's go ahead. This author right here, Brian, did a good article that he wrote in 2019. Brian writes, by the turn of the 20th century, former slaves and their descendants had amassed 14 million acres of land. Black agriculture was a powerhouse, and we still didn't get the damn 40 acres and a mule. But anyway, per capita, that were more black farmers than white farmers by the turn of the 21st century. 90% of that land was lost. Hello? How does that happen? That should be your question in this moment. How and why does that happen? It's strategic, not by accident, on purpose. Brian further writes, some of that can be chalked up to the Great Migration when Southern blacks fled to the northern cities to escape the racist violence and systemic oppression of the South. Ran out of there, built that joint, and ran the hell out of there. Less known is the story of those who stayed in rural areas and their efforts to hold on to their land within a legal system that seemed designed to shift it, and the generational wealth it represented to white ownership. Seemed, Brian, you did that. Oh no, it was deliberate. Do y'all understand? See, so when Sister Turner is talking about systemic racism, this is the example. Cause y'all always, why I gotta bring it up? Cause it still exists. And y'all hurting people generationally. And even if Mr. Mallory does succeed in legally, which I hope that he does, he still has to bear the burden of even having to endure that. Like he's some little child. He's a man. A black man in America. Y'all humiliate. That's what they trying to do. They trying to break this man's spirit and his soul. But we, those of us who believe in justice and equality, we just not gonna let that happen. We're not gonna take this sitting down. Unbossed, listen, all of the viewers, I need y'all to go online and give this man some support and some love. And if you can be in El Paso County, in Colorado on the 17th at the or not at the county, but going to the Capitol and help them pass this damn Karen law. This is a shame. None of us should sleep well at night knowing that this kind of stuff is still going on in this country. And this is just one of many examples that we can give you. That is it. So glad Yasmin was here with me today. Yeah, I went on one and I'm proud of it. You have been watching Unbossed on this Monday in February, baby. We are breaking it down like it ain't never been broken. Yasmin, I was so glad to have you here with me today, darling. I cannot wait till you and I can do this again. I really do appreciate you, and I appreciate each and every one of the viewers. Now, you know what I want you to do. I want you to keep the faith. Always, always keep the faith. But more importantly, coupled with that faith, baby, you got to keep the fight. Until next time, I'm madder than a mofo, but I'll be back tomorrow.